Hello, everyone. Welcome to Birth Your Vision podcast. I am so excited to have you back on the show. So, for some of you who are joining us today, the podcast is basically all about providing resources for women in business and aspiring female entrepreneurs who are looking for inspiration, guidance, support, and tips on how to, start their business and also turn their vision or idea into a successful, profitable business. And so you will hear candid interviews with trailblazing women every week who will be sharing their entrepreneurial journey and also their successes and their setbacks. And so today, we are going to be looking at an amazing topic, which is all about level up to move up. So, what we want to focus on today is the underrepresentation of women, particularly at senior strategic level. And this is an issue that many organizations today experience, which means both women and the companies that they work for are missing out. And so, in many industries, women are still underrepresented. And it's a challenge, especially, it's really a challenging thing when it gets to them, sourcing out sponsorship that they need for their professional advancement and also to be recognized for their talent within their organization. And so we're going to be diving into why organizations should have specific measures in place to support female talent. And you know what? I'm so excited to welcome my guest. So, in this episode, my guest, Elizabeth Batalla, will share ways your organization can actually take stock and maximize the potential of its female talent pool. So, before I welcome her, let me just tell you a little bit about who she is. So, Elizabeth Batalla, founder of the Institute of Achievement and Excellence, she helps women quickly to get to the level up in 9 life areas so that they can achieve their professional and personal transformational goals to secure leadership roles and business opportunities. She also helps companies to better educate and promote their female talent. And so, after 30 years in the corporate world and mentoring, so many people along the way, she has decided to package, right? To package her
Yes.
expertise and her experience. And so she runs fantastic masterclasses, tailored programs, which are based on the three forces in achieving excellence, which is a fantastic framework that contains the 9 life areas that are crucial for achieving personal and professional fulfillment. And so I am so delighted to welcome Elizabeth to the podcast today. Welcome, Queen. How are you doing?
I am fine. Thank you for having me on your show. Very good.
They've been brilliant, awesome. So thank you so much for getting in touch and connecting to want to be a guest on the show. It's a real pleasure to have you today. So let's
Mhm.
get started. I just want to know, what was it like for you being in the corporate world?
It was a challenge. It was a success. It was a journey. It was learning. It was everything, to be honest. As you said, Hannah, I've been in the corporate space for more than 30 years. And
Hmm.
in that time, I have worked in predominantly male dominated environments. So, for instance, oil and gas, IT, professional services, banking, finance. And although it has been very lucrative and very
Hmm.
rewarding,
Yeah,
as a female in that space, it has been a challenge as well.
right. I can imagine because, sometimes when we work in a male dominated environment, sometimes we as women, we
Mhm.
try to find a way to kind of find our own ground and kind of fit in. So I can understand some of the challenges that you may have faced. And so, when did you now realize that you wanted to help women to succeed, especially in the 9 life areas of success?
I have been helping women for a long time during my career. Most of it has been unofficially. It was either a small part of my portfolio or I would proactively seeked out women where I could have helped in whichever way I could. Some
Yeah.
came to me organically. And in that time, the 9 life areas came over a period of time because what I realized, Hannah, is that more and more the problems, the concerns, the worries, the fears, the anxieties, etc., fell into one of 9 life buckets. And
Right.
that's how that whole 9 life areas came to fruition.
Absolutely. So just tell us very briefly, what is the nine life area of success? What is that?
Well, as you said so eloquently in your introduction, Hannah,
Mm.
it started off initially with helping females show up at their best, right?
Right.
In terms of excellence. So, a
Mm.
female of a woman of excellence is someone who shows up at her best in every circumstances, regardless of her start in life, regardless of the resources she has,
Yeah.
regardless of her capabilities. And by no means this is aiming for perfection, because
Mm.
perfection is unattainable.
Right.
Excellence is all about being the best you can with the resources that you have. And what I looked at is a framework. I wanted to create a framework that helped women, show up in that form of excellence easily, because there's so much information out there, and a lot of times the information is conflicting. And
Mm.
I wanted something holistic. I wanted something that really embraced who the woman is in her whole being, in her full form, because that's how we show up as excellence, when
Right.
we look at the holistic picture. So in terms of the framework, there are 3 areas, 3 forces in the framework. The first one is your identity, that deals with you as an individual. The second one is your connections, that's your relationships with yourself and others. And then the final point is your status, your quality and standard of living. And within each of those 3 life forces, there are 3 life areas. And that's how the 9 buckets come about, the 9 life areas. Yes. So,
Yes.
for instance, in the identity, we look at 3 things: your personal brand, your personal style, and your demeanor. How do you advantage as a woman? The second force, which is the connections, I look at physical, mental, and emotional health and awareness. And then finally, in the status section, we look at the the profession area or the business that the person is in,
Mm-hmm.
their finances, how they manage those finances, and then finally how they look at their future, how they plan for their future. So you
Right.
can see it's very holistic in nature.
Absolutely. And I really love it because it's broken down into small elements. You know, you've got the brand, you've got the
Mhm.
physicality of it and stuff like that, which is very important.
Mhm.
And I think you actually
Mhm.
cover a wide range of
Yes.
different elements to be able to work on, individual according to their
Mhm.
needs, which is really amazing. So, what is it, Elizabeth, that actually drives you? What are you motivated by, especially in the field of work that you're currently doing right now?
Hannah, I see and experience so many amazing women with amazing capabilities, and
Yes.
they on many occasions, I know that there are certain areas of our lives that we can take control and responsibility for, but then there
Yeah.
are other areas that are a bit
Mm.
extrinsic, and it's difficult to influence. And I think what drives me most is helping and seeing the light switch on, that aha moment, when
Mm.
someone, I have a conversation with them, or I have a workshop with them, or just simply a dialogue, and they actually have that aha moment, and that one simple aha moment changes their lives and all of the lives they touch after that, and they just springboard into something they never thought they could attain. That
Right.
for me is the ultimate reward.
Absolutely. There, yeah, you're definitely right. And when we look at the companies in which many women work in, you were talking about working in a male dominated company. And
Yes.
let's talk about what the benefits, right? What are the
Hmm.
benefits of companies promoting female talent are? What comes with that? Because sometimes you can be in a company and you're not promoted, and
Hmm.
this can be tough for women who have fantastic skills, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to get to the next level in terms of being a director or executive or whatever it is that they aspire to be and the goals that they've set for themselves. So, let's talk a little bit about, companies promoting female talent within that organization.
Mm. Of course, because the benefit isn't just only for the female employee, it is for the company as well. And
Yes.
I recently read a report by McKinsey and Company in
Mm-hmm.
their 2020 report. And their figures, their stats were absolutely astonishing. What they were saying is that companies in the top quartile of that have diversity teams, they were
Yes.
25% more likely to experience above average growth.
Mm-hmm.
25%. Companies with a diverse leadership team, 45% growth in market share, and they are 70% more likely to tap into new markets. Those are massive, massive figures. And the
Absolutely.
sad part about that report is that women made up just 15% of those executive teams, and more than a
Mm.
third of companies have absolutely no female representation in their leadership team. And in this day and age, Hannah, it begs to answer the question why.
Yeah.
If organizations is such a huge benefit, then
Mm.
why is it that there isn't greater representation and a more diverse culture at the top? Because
Absolutely.
the benefits of the organization are
Mm-hmm.
massive. Those are big numbers.
Definitely. I mean, you're definitely right because the figures definitely speaks volume, right?
Yes.
Even I was looking up at some research. It says, in the Fortune 500, there are nearly 13 companies run by a man for every one run by a woman. Just that
Hmm.
on itself alone. And I think it's time for us to start having those conversations and looking at how we can also
Hmm.
encourage our own organization in terms of
Hmm.
ensuring that women are at the right place that they should be in an organization, and starting to look at ways we can actually implement those changes. So, what are the ways that you feel women can actually start to open up and speak up in their own organization to ensure that they are no longer derepresented in their organization?
Well, Hannah, there are two facets to
Mhm.
that question. One is, extrinsic to the woman, that
Yeah.
are influences external to her that may or may not be areas of her influence, and she can, but she still has leverage on that. And I'm speaking about things like you know having a mentor so that her voice is heard more in the organization, actively seeking out sponsorship, actively promoting herself at work. And I'm not talking about shouting and saying, here I am, here I am, and being arrogant about it. But a lot of women are, they lack the confidence sometimes to really showcase themselves, or they feel that something is not right or doesn't feel right and it feels a bit salesy. But
Mhm.
what I would say to women is that just doing a good job is not enough. People have to know, have to recognize you, you
Mhm.
need to be visible in the organization. That's part of the process of being
Yes.
recognized. Another So that there are some extrinsic factors,
Mm-hmm.
but what I work with women on are the intrinsic factors, the factors that they have most control over, and that's themselves. So
Mm.
things like confidence. When we're looking, a lot of women complain that they feel sometimes overwhelmed, or that imposter syndrome
Yeah.
takes over, and they sabotage their own efforts.
Mm.
So that's the whole idea and the premise behind the three forces in achieving excellence is: what can you as a female do to
Mm-hmm.
really showcase yourself and in the areas that you have control, so that you can then leverage that and use that to influence the extrinsic factors, because you're going into it already prepared and ready to assume that role.
Absolutely. And I think you're right because he also looks at, an individual kind of gathering accurate data doing their own research
Mhm.
to really
Mhm.
find out, how many women in their organization do they recruit, right? And
Mhm.
also looking at the organization turnover rate of women,
Mhm.
as well as, what are the rates of women that has been promoted. So I think we have to
Mhm.
definitely do our own research as well
Mhm.
in our own organization to be able to have a clear starting point, a place that we can actually start from to start to
Mhm.
explore this area in terms of gathering data of the current
Mhm.
situation, and
Mhm.
also ensuring that we are also putting ourselves forward. Like you said, is all about having the confidence to be
Yes.
able to do that. And I know that sometimes few women do lack a bit of confidence, and I
Mhm.
think also it's about looking at the organization, especially the senior team,
Mhm.
and looking at, are they really committed to supporting
Mhm.
female talent the
Mhm.
correct way, the right way? What does it look like within that team itself, and are they even ready to support or set a good standard when it comes to gender diversity, which is very, very important, right? So these are all the things that people need to be looking at your organization and looking at what do they offer in terms of female talent pool, what is in place, so that they can start to put themselves forward. What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely, I agree. And not just only for when someone is part of the organization, but the entire process from
Yes.
the moment someone joins the organization, from the induction period all the way through to the eventual exit of that individual. How is the female handled? Do they
Mm,
have mentorship programs in place? Do they have
yes.
specialized training in place? Do they
Mm,
have sponsors directly, for that female? Do they have great representation in leadership teams where
yes.
these women can be the spokesperson for other females in the organization?
Mm,
What is their history in terms of promotion in relation to the men in the organization? And even self looking at the industry as a whole, what is the industry norm, what is the industry average, and how
yeah,
does the company that you want to work for or you work for measure up against that average? So there are
absolutely.
many things that we as
Yes.
females can do and can look at. Yes.
Definitely. And I think you touched on sort of mentoring. I think developing a mentoring program within an organization for women is very, very important, because many of us, we need a mentor. So having a good mentor that can help, for you to become that aspiring leader to get you to the next step in your career is definitely
Hmm.
crucial. It's especially important for women so that they can actually build up their social capital at work, which is really
Hmm.
important for them as well. So it's really about, the support, gathering of data, developing a mentoring program, in workplace, and also providing that kind of flexibility in terms of working, because obviously women, we have so much going on with, with running a family, trying to balance work and life and looking after children. And I think it's very important that, organizations, that they do offer the support of that flexible working, because obviously to get to the top, your time is required. But if there is flexibility, that also encourages and really enables women to actually, seek that next level in terms of getting to the next level. What are your thoughts about that?
Again, I absolutely agree with that, Hannah,
Mm,
because not only women tend to take on the bulk of the responsibility at home and
yeah,
children, some females, they also have elderly parents that they are taking care of.
that's
uh,
right.
you know, uh, Coupled with that, many women who are in those positions are going through a menopause or
Hmm.
perimenopause period. It's a difficult time for a female.
Yeah,
And I know sometimes in society, remarks are made and it's slighted and it's made fun of, but it truly can be a very challenging time for a female when her hormones are all out of balance. So,
absolutely.
recognizing all of these things and
Hmm.
building that into the ethos of how things are done in some form definitely can support the woman in attaining, her goal in reaching that leadership level.
Indeed, I totally agree. So, I know you mentioned something around confidence. So, I just want to know a little bit more, if you can just tell us a little bit more in terms of what are some of the internal challenges you hear that women face, particularly.
Or many, many, and just to give you a statistic, there was a study I read, and it said 65% of women feel that their confidence is what stops them from going after leadership roles. 65%, and
Wow.
yet another study explained that men only need to understand the role, the dynamics of a role, about
Hmm.
50%, and they will go
Yeah.
after a job. Whereas a female believes that if she can't do at least 90% of the job, she doesn't even bother to put herself forward. So all of these things, truly inhibit the progression. In terms of the confidence, as you said, Hannah,
Mm.
what can help women in that space? There are many different things that females can do, and one of the things is that building a strong support system. A strong
Right.
support system genuinely helps, and understanding that it's a work in progress. It's a work in
Mm.
progress because we are
Yeah.
always learning, and it
Yes.
may not be right the first time, the second time, the third time, but one step at a time, consistent small steps, it's better than doing nothing. And it may
Mm.
even be more beneficial and more successful than one grand step. Steps don't have to be grand to be great.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
definitely right. Yeah, I think confidence definitely plays a role when it comes to so many things, when it comes to decision making. And, it's quite difficult sometimes because a woman can be very good at that particular skill, but
Mhm.
then because she lacks the confidence and the belief in herself,
Mhm.
she ultimately
Mhm.
feels like she cannot even embark on that journey. And
Mhm.
so confidence building is always one of the major reasons, one of the major setbacks when it comes to, applying for that role, applying for the next
Mhm.
level in your career, or even starting that business or making that choice of, that is a life transformation for you. So definitely confidence building is something that is ongoing. So do you have any training in regards to confidence building within the institute?
Yes, absolutely. So
Mm.
there are many, many touch points. In fact, all through the program, what I focus on are tools, tips, techniques, easy to implement stuff that can
Yes.
help anyone attain what they want or what they're looking for, either within that particular aspect or in totality. So, for instance, one of the things we talk about where confidence is concerned,
Yeah.
many people, they fail to mention that a precursor to that confidence is courage, because it
Hmm.
takes a certain degree of courage to be confident.
Definitely. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah, for sure. Indeed.
Exactly, because there are
Yeah.
so many things that can knock a female confidence. It can be something as simple as microaggression, which is one thing that
Yeah.
again covered in the program. And
Hmm.
microaggression is something that is unique in itself, because in isolation it sounds like it's no big deal. But
Yeah.
when a female, a woman is being hit with slight remarks every single day for whatever reason, it wears and tears on you as an individual. It can
Right.
it can it can shut you down. It can
Definitely.
shut you down in meetings. It can shut you down for putting
Hmm.
yourself forward, and bit by bit by bit, your confidence can take a hit. So all through the program, there are little things and touch points that directly help
Hmm.
someone with their confidence, as well as there is a specific lesson just on confidence only.
Fantastic. And is this sort of part of the nine lives?
Yes, it is. So
Mm-hmm.
the identity force for the for excellence,
Right.
there's
Okay.
a
Mm-hmm.
section that's called demeanor. And in demeanor, we talk about confidence, courage, confidence,
Yeah.
and charisma. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the three C's that we talk as part of the demeanor module, where we talk about communication. So
Okay.
confidence is definitely a topic in there.
In the great stuff. So, can you give us maybe one example of how this framework actually applies?
Of course, my
Hmm.
pleasure. The framework, I like to think of it like a dimmer switch, Hannah.
Okay.
Do you need all nine, or do you need to be fantastic in all nine buckets in order, or all nine life areas in order to be excellent? No,
Mm.
not necessarily. It's not about being perfect. It's just about, as I said, showing up in your best possible light. So, in terms of the nine life areas, you can look at it over a period of a week, over a period of a month. The key is to at least have a touch point across one of the areas, on a more or less consistent basis, so that you show up in
Mm.
a holistic way. And,
Right,
and that's the whole idea behind those nine life areas.
right. Sounds really good, to be honest. And so, if someone is thinking about, making this type of change, so what is the
Mhm.
most simplest way to do it?
The simplest way, there is a free assessment
Okay.
on the platform, and the
Mm-hmm.
assessment asks a series of questions across all nine life areas. So the
Right.
beauty is that when someone were to if someone were to do the free assessment,
Yeah.
it creates a spider diagram, and that spider diagram will show your areas of strengths and your areas for improvement. I don't necessarily like to say weaknesses, your areas for improvement.
Improvement. Yeah.
Then you can use that information, and you can do various things. One, you can choose the top tier program, which is called Achieving Professional Excellence. It contains all nine life areas, and you
Brilliant.
can either do it consecutively or jump to the area that you need the most help with. Or
Mm.
what I have done is I have pulled out the individual nine life areas and offer them as separate modules. So if you believe, oh, I only want to do, let's say, um, the physical health, or I just want to do the finance, or I just want to do the demeanor or personal style, that's a choice as
Mm.
well. But the assessment is
Fantastic.
the easiest way as an entry point.
Brilliant. So people have the choice to
Yes,
choose what meets their needs more better.
absolutely.
Brilliant. That's good. So if you have one piece of advice to people out there who are listening and they feel that they have more to give, but sometimes, they may have a struggle or maybe they're struggling or
Mhm.
not even getting the support that they need. So what would you actually tell them?
I will say to them, start where you are, use what you have,
Mm-hmm.
and do the best that you can. Take that and let that be your momentum, and take one step at a time. Again, it
Love
does
that.
not have to be big steps that will lead
Yes.
to success, but
Mm-hmm.
consistent steps, being comfortable with where you are, knowing and trusting that you are going to reach where you want to reach, but
Hmm.
just doing the best you can with every single resource. Don't let an opportunity pass you by. If you're having that conversation with your boss and you need that support, let them know. If you've done a good job, go on LinkedIn and post it out. Um,
Yeah,
take the steps, but take it consistently.
I love that. That's a great advice. So I know that you are a book junkie. You do read a lot of books. So
Yes.
what are two books recommendation you have for our listeners?
Well, apart from my book Level Up to Move Up, which I
Okay,
launched recently, there are
brilliant.
two other books that I can recommend. One is a very easy read, and it's called The Game of Life and How
The
to
Game
Play
of
It
Life.
by
Okay.
Florence Shin. Really good
Mm-hmm.
book, very simple book, easy to read, simple concepts, but very powerful. The
Yes.
second one is called The Glass Wall by Sue
Mm.
Uneman. And the glass wall is all about different strategies that women
Yes.
can use to help
Mm-hmm.
them get ahead in the corporate world. Because we have proven that we can break that glass ceiling. We've
Yeah.
proven that. We've done that. We would like to see more of it, but we've done it. The challenge today is that glass wall, being in the
Mm.
same room, sitting at the same meetings, and not being able to either voice the opinion as strongly or have it recognized and respected as strongly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what is the biggest takeaway you hope our listeners will take away or learn from today's podcast?
I would say to women out there,
Mm.
don't dampen your greatness. Keep keep going and help others along the way, because we are all, we're all just trying to do the best that we can with the
Ex-
resources that we have. So help others where you can, And don't ever give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams, because your dreams are unique to you and there is a place for it in this world.
Definitely. So, what's next for you, my queen?
What's next for me? To be honest, Hannah, I am
Yeah.
very happy where I am in life at the moment. What's next for me is just doing more of what I'm doing now, reaching a wider audience, helping more people, and specifically reaching out to companies
Yes.
to get, for them to implement these programs, whether it's
Hmm.
my programs or other programs, but implement the programs that, support and encourage the next generation of female leaders, because it's vitally important. I've given the stats and the benefit to the company themselves for doing so.
Definitely. So, where can our listeners find you online?
They can find me at achievement and excellence. I know it's a bit long, achievementandexcellence.com. All one word, achievementandexcellence.com. And there contains all of my social handles and my access to my LinkedIn, emails, everything. So just go on there and don't forget to do the assessment.
Absolutely. So I've just basically helped you to put the website on the chat so that people can actually go there and get in touch with you. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Elizabeth. I have enjoyed every bit of your amazing strategy and tips that you've shared with us today. And so I want to say thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the process. And how have you found the process of coming to the Birth Your Vision podcast today?
You're a fantastic host. What can I say? It's been effortless, it's been
Yeah.
enjoyable, and I hope we can do this sometime in the future again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And so,
My
to all our
pleasure.
viewers, you are welcome. And so, to all our listeners and our viewers, thank you so much for taking part and engaging with us in today's podcast episode. And so, we bring the episode to a close. I want to say thank you to my wonderful guest, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing tips. And until next week, join me again with another fantastic, thrill blazing woman who will be sharing her journey and her expertise. And also, we're going to be having some amazing guests coming soon in the next few months in this season 8. So stay tuned and stay locked in. So, to everyone watching and listening, have a great evening and stay blessed. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you for
My
being a guest
pleasure.
on the show. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye for now.